Next time you look at me like that, you'll do it from the sidewalk, Isaac Thornton said, voice like cold steel. The man across from him blinked, stunned. What? You heard me. Silence. The glass-walled office on the 42nd floor of the Thornton Tech building seemed to freeze with the weight of the moment. Isaac rolled his wheelchair back from the long black table, pivoted with a hiss of polished tires. His brother, Daniel, stood frozen at the other end, gray suit rumpled, face pale. You stared at me like you pity me, Isaac said, not yelling. That made it worse. Don't ever do that again. Daniel took a breath. I didn't mean. I don't care what you meant. He turned to his assistant. Have HR process Daniel's exit. Today. No stock options, no references. I don't want to see him in this building again. But I'm your brother, Daniel whispered. Isaac's eyes narrowed. You were. That was Isaac Thornton, 53, CEO of a trillion-dollar tech empire, paralyzed from the waist down after a helicopter crash 5 years ago. And colder than ever. Since the accident, Isaac hadn't just lost his legs. He'd lost patience, trust, warmth, anything that didn't contribute to control. His mansion spanned 400 acres in Oregon. His staff operated like military. Every object in his world served a purpose. If it didn't, it was removed. He had no pets, no plants, no photos, just achievements, awards, control, and rage. That morning, like every morning, he started at 5 a.m. with a bitter cup of black coffee and silence. His assistant, Camille, read out updates while he stared through the glass wall of his Mountain View office. 2 contracts closed. China, we beat Nakamura Group in South Korea. And Dr. Levinson from Zurich called. He turned his head. What did Levinson say? Camille hesitated. Another failure. Isaac let the word settle. Another. One more on the pile. Did he at least have the guts to explain why? Camille's voice softened. He said, your spinal cord injury is complete. That his stem cell trial couldn't do anything beyond what others have tried. He wished you peace. Isaac chuckled darkly. Peace. A rich word for a coward who gave up. He pressed a button on his chair. The wheels hummed as he turned back to his desk. There were no pictures. No family. Just a bronze sculpture of a man standing tall. He stared at it. 5 years. 5 years of top hospitals, experimental therapies, private specialists flown in from Japan, Israel, Switzerland. None of them delivered. He was still in this damn chair. At noon, he met with security staff. The head of operations, Harold, stood stiffly beside a monitor. There's a situation at the front gate, Harold said. Isaac didn't look up. Trespasser? No. A child. That made him pause. Harold continued, clearing his throat. The boy. 9, maybe 10. But he's been standing there since morning. Refuses to leave. Says he wants to speak with you. Speak with me? Isaac turned now, eyes narrowed. About what? Harold shifted, uncomfortable. Says, he can cure you. The silence after that was thick. Then, laughter. Mocking. Cure me, Isaac repeated, voice like acid. A child? Yes, sir. Says he won't leave until you hear him out. And you let him loiter on my perimeter? We tried to make him go. He won't. Just stands there. Doesn't ask for food, water. Just says he can help. Isaac leaned back slowly in his chair. A grin spread across his face, but it wasn't joyful. It was dangerous. Bring him in. Harold blinked. Sir? You heard me. Bring the little prophet to me. Let's see what miracle he's hiding in his pocket. He waved a hand. Cancel my afternoon. I want to be entertained. As the security team moved to obey, Camille hesitated in the doorway. Sir, should I stay? Isaac looked at her with that unreadable smile. No. Go home early. This might get interesting. 15 minutes later, the iron gates creaked open, and a boy stepped through. He was no taller than Isaac's desk, wearing an oversized hoodie, faded jeans, and sneakers with worn soles. His hands were empty. His face was calm. Eyes steady. Isaac studied him like a scientist might a strange bug. And you, Isaac said at last, must be the black messiah they sent to lift me from my throne of wheels. The boy didn't flinch. I'm Micah, he said simply. And I came because I can help you. Isaac chuckled. You mean cure me? Micah nodded once. Yes. Isaac leaned forward. Do you know how many doctors have told me that before? Micah, a lot. Isaac, do you know how many of them failed? Micah, all of them. Isaac's eyes narrowed. And yet here you are. No lab coat. No diploma. No ID. Just words. The boy said nothing. Isaac turned his chair slightly, gesturing to the massive floor-to-ceiling window behind him. That mountain out there? That's how far your words will get you here. Micah took one step forward. I didn't come to talk, he said quietly. I came to remind your legs they're still yours. Isaac barked a laugh so loud it echoed off the glass. Remind my legs? Micah nodded. You forgot how to use them. I can help you remember. Isaac's smile twisted into something crueler. You know what, kid? Let's make a deal. He rolled closer. If you cure me, I'll give you $10 million. He paused. But when you fail, you'll walk out of here knowing your words meant nothing. That the line between people like you and people like me is real. Micah looked him in the eye. Then prepare the check. Isaac stared. And for the first time in years, he wasn't entirely sure what would happen next. The front gate of the Thornton estate was 14 feet tall, black iron, and lined with motion detectors. It didn't open for delivery trucks, police escorts, or CEOs without clearance. That morning, it opened for a boy. Micah stood with his hands tucked in the front pocket of his hoodie. He didn't flinch when the gate rattled. Didn't move when two uniformed guards stepped out with wary hands on their belts. Kid, one of them barked. State your business. I came to speak to Mr. Thornton. The taller guard looked at the shorter one. We've been trying to get rid of you for hours. You're trespassing. I'm not leaving, Micah said. He needs me. Needs you? The guard scoffed. You're 9. I'm 10, Micah said calmly. And I can help him. They stared at him. He stared back. No fear. No nerves. Just certainty. Inside the mansion, Isaac rolled his wheelchair slowly across the polished marble of the east hallway. The air smelled like lemon oil and silence. He liked it that way. Camille followed a few steps behind, tablet in hand. Sir, are you sure this is safe? We don't know who this boy is. No ID, no parent, nothing. I'm not afraid of children, Isaac said flatly. And I have cameras in every room. Let him speak. But... Isaac stopped. His voice dropped. I said let him speak. Camille backed off. Isaac wheeled into the glass-enclosed conservatory, sunlight pooling across the floor. The boy stood near the doorway, surrounded by security, eyes still calm. He looked like a shadow against all the wealth around him. And yet somehow, Isaac thought, he didn't look small. You must be Micah, Isaac said. Micah gave a single nod. And you're the man who forgot how to believe. Isaac chuckled. We're starting with riddles. Excellent. He rolled closer, circling the boy like a hawk sizing up a mouse. You know how many people claim they can heal me? Yes. Know what happens to them? They leave disappointed. Isaac raised an eyebrow. And you think you're different? Micah's voice didn't waver. I don't think. I know. Isaac tilted his head. You know. He turned to the guards. Do you hear that? This child has more confidence than a Nobel laureate. No one laughed. Isaac looked back at the boy. You're not here for money, are you? Micah shook his head. Fame? No. Then why? Micah's eyes didn't blink. Because the world told you you're broken. And you believed it. The words landed hard. Isaac's smile faded for half a second, just long enough to be noticeable. He turned away, rolling toward a panel near the wall. Pressed a button. A door hissed open. A private elevator. He didn't look back. Well then, Dr. Micah, he said, let's take a tour of failure. The elevator opened to a private lower level, colder and dimly lit. The walls were lined with monitors, light boxes, imaging reels, and floor-to-ceiling files. It was his vault of disappointment. X-rays, MRIs, spinal scans. Documents stamped with red, "No improvement" notations. Photos of top surgeons. Certificates from trials gone nowhere. Isaac wheeled to the center of the room. "This," he said, waving a hand, "is everything the best medicine on earth can offer." Micah looked around, his face unreadable. Isaac gestured to one wall. "You see that scan? $15,000. From the Mayo Clinic. And that one? $40,000 in Tokyo. I've been to Switzerland, Germany, Singapore." Micah said nothing. Isaac pointed to a shelf of binders. 40 specialists. 40 failures. Still, the boy was quiet. Isaac leaned forward. "So what exactly do you think you can do that they couldn't?" Micah's answer was simple. "They looked at what was broken. I look at what's still alive." Isaac scoffed. "Still alive?" Micah walked to a monitor showing the most recent scan. "You see the damage. I see the system that's waiting to be remembered." Isaac's voice dropped. "I've had every nerve mapped. Every vertebra scanned. Don't you dare speak to me like I don't know my own body." Micah didn't flinch. "Maybe that's the problem." Silence. The kind that hums louder than noise. Isaac narrowed his eyes. "Say that again." "I said maybe that's the problem," Micah repeated. "You think knowing your body is the same as listening to it." Isaac chuckled, bitter. "Kid, I've spent 5 years listening to this body. You know what it tells me?" Micah answered quietly. "That you're alone." For a moment, Isaac said nothing. Just sat there, staring at a boy who wouldn't back down. A boy who didn't laugh, didn't shrink, didn't blink. Finally, Isaac let out a sigh that sounded like something cracking. "You know what?" he said. "I've got nothing to lose." He pointed to the nearest chair. "Sit down, prophet. You've got 10 minutes to convince me I'm not insane for letting you in here." Micah nodded once. And sat. Isaac leaned back in his chair, fingers steepled under his chin. The polished floor below gleamed like black ice beneath the dim glow of the monitors. Micah sat across from him, legs swinging slightly off the edge of the leather chair, too short to reach the floor, too calm for a child. "So," Isaac said, voice heavy with sarcasm, "you think you can cure me?" Micah looked at him, steady. "Yes." Isaac tilted his head. "You say that like you're ordering breakfast." "I say that because it's true." Isaac let out a quiet chuckle, dry, humorless. "Let me paint you a picture, Micah. I've seen 23 of the top spinal surgeons in the world. I've had electrodes in my back, wires in my brain, plasma injections in places I didn't even know existed." Micah just nodded. "I've been in private hospitals that look like space stations. I've paid men who charge $100,000 just to walk into a room. All of them said the same thing." Isaac paused. "That I'm done." He leaned forward now. "I can't walk. I will never walk. There is no cure. No miracle. No magic." He leaned in closer, his voice lowering. "And then you show up. With what? Vague little sayings?" "No," Micah said softly. "I showed up with memory." Isaac blinked. "Memory? You haven't lost your legs, Mr. Thornton. You've just forgotten how to use them." Silence. For a moment, Isaac looked at the boy like he might flip the table. "You're a child. What do you know about neural trauma? About permanent nerve death? About vertebral collapse?" Micah said nothing. Isaac jabbed a finger toward the screen. "That's a scan of my spine. The damage is visible, documented, verified by every leading neurologist on Earth. My injury is classified as complete." Micah nodded. "Yes. According to them." Isaac's fist hit the armrest. "Not according to me. According to medicine. Science." Micah's voice stayed calm. "Science measures what it can see. I work with what it can't." Isaac leaned back, breathing hard. He was used to arrogance, from CEOs, rivals, even surgeons. But this boy? He was unshakable in a way that felt dangerous. "What makes you think you're right?" he asked quietly. "What makes you think you see something they don't?" Micah pointed toward the scans still glowing on the screen. They see this and say, broken. I see it and say, unfinished. Isaac stared. Do you know what it's like, he said slowly, to wake up every day in a prison made of your own body? Yes, Micah said. That made Isaac pause. What? I know what it's like to watch someone you love disappear, even when they're still breathing. The room went still. Micah didn't explain. Isaac didn't ask. He just breathed out and said, this is absurd. Then let it be absurd, Micah replied. You've tried everything that makes sense. What do you have to lose by trying what doesn't? Isaac laughed again, this time bitter. You think you're clever, don't you? No, Micah said. I think I'm right. Isaac studied him. You don't flinch. No. You don't back down. No. And if I told you to leave? Micah shrugged. Then I'd wait outside again. Isaac rolled slowly toward him, eyes hard. You really believe you can do what no one else has? Micah nodded. Isaac stared for a long time. And then, in a voice like gravel, he said, fine. Micah raised an eyebrow. Isaac's smile was sharp, cold, dangerous. If you can make me walk again, I'll give you $10 million. Micah didn't move. But when you fail, Isaac continued, you'll leave here with nothing. No applause. No story. Just silence. Micah's voice was steady. I didn't come for your money. Isaac grinned. But, because you're not getting it. Micah stood up, walked to the side of Isaac's wheelchair, and gently placed a hand on the man's shoulder. Isaac tensed, instinctively. You're not broken, Micah said. You're just locked. Isaac didn't answer. Micah turned, walking slowly toward the door. I'll be back tomorrow, he said. Isaac scoffed. I didn't say yes. Micah paused at the threshold. You didn't say no either. And then he left. The room was silent again. But this time, it wasn't peaceful. It was full of something Isaac hadn't felt in years. Possibility. Isaac sat in his private study long after the boy had gone. He stared at the fireplace, not for warmth, just for movement. The flames danced against the cold marble like they didn't know the man watching them was made of stone. $10 million. He'd thrown the number out like bait. But the kid hadn't blinked. Hadn't asked for a dime. Hadn't even smiled. You're not broken. You're just locked. The words played over and over in Isaac's head. But he hated how it lingered. The next morning, Isaac ordered the East Wing prepared. Sir? Camille asked. You're not scheduled to meet anyone today. I know, Isaac said. Bring the boy back. She hesitated. Micah. Just him. Micah arrived at 11 a.m. This time, he was escorted straight inside. No guards touching him. No lectures. Just quiet respect, earned, not granted. Isaac was waiting in the lower medical wing, where the walls were lined with proof of failure. He didn't say hello. He just rolled his chair to the center of the room, then pressed a button. Screens came alive. Monitors, projectors, backlit panels with scans and test results. A medical theater. A shrine to frustration. Micah stood calmly as the lights shifted around him. Isaac pointed to the first screen. This, he said, is Dr. Richard Kellerman. Harvard Medical. Specialized in spinal trauma. Studied my case for 9 months. Said there's no hope. He swiped to the next. Dr. Helena Volkov. Moscow Institute. Ran stem cell therapy trials on me for 6 months. $12 million. Result? Nothing. He moved on. Dr. Yukio Tanaka. Tokyo Neurocenter. Implanted electrodes. Said I might feel tingling. All I felt was disappointment. Screen after screen. Name after name. Faces of the world's best and brightest. 40 doctors, Micah, Isaac said. 40 minds sharper than razors. 40 failures. He let the weight of the number hang in the air. Then he turned slowly, eyes narrowing. And you have none of that. No degree. No lab. No credentials. What exactly do you have? Micah's voice was calm. I have what they lost. Isaac raised an eyebrow. Which is? Wonder. Isaac rolled back, laughing once, dry and sharp. Wonder? This isn't a fairy tale, Micah. This is nerve tissue. This is clinical data. This is real life. Micah stepped closer to one of the screens, where Isaac's most recent MRI glowed. I never said it wasn't real, he said softly. But real doesn't mean hopeless. Isaac stared at him. Micah pointed to a section of the scan. This is where they said you were paralyzed. Yes, Isaac said. That's the site of the trauma. The spinal cord was severed. Micah traced the image gently with his finger. They all saw this and gave up. Isaac's voice dropped. They gave me truth. No, Micah replied. They gave you facts, not truth. Isaac's jaw clenched. And what truth do you think you know, boy? Micah met his eyes. That the body can remember what the mind forgets. Isaac scoffed. You talk in riddles. I talk in things your body understands, Micah said. Even if your mind refuses. Isaac wheeled closer now. Inches away. If this is a con, he said slowly, it's the most offensive one I've seen. Because I believed. For 5 years, I believed in everyone. And they all failed. So if you're lying, I'm not. If this is some story you tell yourself to make sense of your world, it's not. Then explain it, Isaac said, his voice rising. Explain how a 10-year-old with no equipment, no training, no scientific basis, can do what they could not. Micah didn't answer. Instead, he walked to a shelf, picked up a framed certificate. One of the many. Read the name. Then he set it down carefully. He looked at Isaac. I can't give you a paper, he said. But I can give you something they couldn't. Isaac's voice lowered. What? A chance. There was silence again. This time, Isaac didn't rush to fill it. He looked around at the room he'd built, millions of dollars in failure, and one child standing in the middle of it, unshaken. Finally, Isaac leaned back in his chair. His voice was quiet. What would you need? Micah looked at him for a long second, then answered, your trust. Isaac exhaled slowly. That's the one thing I don't give. Micah stepped forward. Then give me 1 hour. Isaac looked away. Then back. Just one. Micah nodded. That's all I'll need to show you. Isaac was quiet. Then he pressed a button. The lights dimmed. The screens turned off. And for the first time since his accident, then show me. The room was dark now. No scans. No certificates. No white coats peering down from portraits. Just 2 people. One man in a chair. One boy standing beside him. And silence. Isaac crossed his arms. So, what happens now? Micah didn't answer immediately. He walked slowly behind the chair, dragging a stool with him, the legs screeching lightly across the tile. He set it down. Then he sat, just behind Isaac's shoulder. I need you to close your eyes. Isaac raised an eyebrow. Seriously? Yes. Why? Because the mind talks too much. The body listens better when it's quiet. Isaac stared at him. Micah said nothing more. After a pause, Isaac exhaled and closed his eyes. Tell me, Micah said softly, what your legs were like before the accident. Isaac's mouth twitched. They worked. Be more specific. Isaac sighed. I ran. I hiked. I skied in the Alps. I played tennis on Saturdays. I climbed stairs 2 at a time because I hated wasting time. Micah nodded. But remember how that felt? Isaac scoffed. You want me to pretend I'm jogging? No, Micah said. I want you to remember what it felt like to trust your legs. That silenced him. Trust. The word landed somewhere deep in his chest. Micah waited, then spoke again. Now, speak to them. Isaac opened one eye. What? Speak to your legs. You mean, like actually talk to them? Yes. Isaac laughed once. You can't be serious. I am. This is ridiculous. Micah didn't budge. Say what you've never said. They've been waiting. Isaac rolled his eyes. Their legs. They're yours, Micah replied. Another long pause. Isaac looked down at the blanket that covered his lower body. 2 legs, still shaped like they once worked. Still warm. Still present. but unmoving. He hated them. He resented them. He never spoke to them. Not once. Until now. He took a shaky breath. "I miss you," he said quietly. The words felt absurd, but real. "I miss walking," he said louder this time. "I miss standing up without help. I miss being me." Micah stayed silent. Isaac's voice cracked. "I hated you for so long. But I didn't want to. I just didn't know what else to do." A tear rolled down his cheek. "I need you," he whispered. "I need you to try. Please." Micah stood, walked around, and knelt in front of him. "Put your hands on the arms of the chair." Isaac did. "Now don't just lift," Micah said. "Don't try to force it. Let your body remember." Isaac tensed. "What does that even mean?" "It means stop controlling it. Trust it." He closed his eyes again. Focused on the memory. The feeling of leaning forward. Pressure in his toes. Calves tightening. Hips flexing. The rhythm of standing. For 5 years, he hadn't even tried. Because everyone said it was pointless. But now, he pushed down slightly. A tremor. Faint. His right leg shivered. He gasped. Micah looked up at him. Isaac's eyes flew open. "Did you see that?" "I did," Micah said calmly. Isaac stared at his leg. "Do it again. Then speak to it again." Isaac looked down. He put both hands on his thighs. "I'm here," he said softly. "I'm still here. I didn't forget you." Micah placed one hand gently on Isaac's chest. "Now, try again." Isaac pushed. Harder this time. His knees buckled slightly, just a twitch. But it was more than before. Far more than 5 years of nothing. He let out a breathless laugh. "Oh my God." Micah looked him in the eye. "Now prepare the check." Isaac blinked. "What?" Micah repeated. "Prepare the check." Isaac stared at him, caught between awe and disbelief. "You're serious?" Micah nodded. "You made a promise." Isaac laughed again. Not mockingly this time. A strange, delighted, frightened sound. He leaned back and wiped his face. "I said 10 million if you made me walk." "You just did," Micah said. "Barely. I didn't stand. I twitched." Micah stood up. "And yesterday, even that was impossible." Isaac was quiet. He looked at his legs. Then up at the boy. "You're not normal." Micah just smiled. "Neither are you." The mansion was dark. The kind of darkness money couldn't touch. All the lights were off. The fireplaces cold. No security patrolling the halls. No humming from the kitchen, no faint voice from Camille's office. Just Isaac. Alone. Awake. In his room. In his chair. Staring at his legs. They hadn't moved again. Not since the tremor. Not since the shiver. Not since Micah left the house like nothing had happened. But the memory, that feeling, it refused to leave. Isaac replayed it in his mind. The shift in his thigh. The twitch in his knee. The slight pressure, small, but unmistakable, like the flicker of a power line sparking after years of silence. It couldn't have been real. It had to be coincidence. A muscle spasm. A trick of the mind. Had to be. And yet, it wasn't. He felt it. Not just physically, but somewhere deeper. Somewhere medicine never reached. At 2:17 a.m., he wheeled himself to his private library. Pushed open the door with more force than usual. Hundreds of them. Lined wall to wall. Most unread. He scanned the shelves until he found the one he hadn't touched in years. Neural Regeneration and Trauma Recovery, Volume 2. He pulled it down, flipped through its pages. Found the chapter on complete spinal cord injury. The text was clinical. Final. Patients with complete transection of the spinal cord exhibit no voluntary motor or sensory function below the injury site. Recovery is considered medically implausible. Isaac shut the book. He opened his laptop. Pulled up his private medical folder. Thousands of files. Scans. Reports. Notes. Conversations with surgeons. He typed the date of his last MRI. Pulled it up. There was the damage. The dark gap. The place where his spine had gone silent. He stared at it for a long time. then whispered to no one. But what if they're wrong? By 4 a.m. he still hadn't moved. Micah's voice replayed in his head. You haven't lost your legs. You've just forgotten how to use them. It sounded ridiculous. Like something from a movie. But he couldn't shake it. Not now. Not after that twitch. He closed the laptop, wheeled back to the center of the room, took a breath, and spoke. I'm sorry, he said, eyes on his knees, for giving up on you. His voice cracked. I didn't know what else to do. He leaned forward, placed his hands on the arms of the chair. Tried again. Nothing. Not even a flutter. He laughed bitterly. Of course. Still he didn't move. Didn't back away. Didn't roll back to bed. Instead, he whispered, I'm still here. I'm still listening. At sunrise, Camille arrived early. She paused when she saw the light under his study door. Knocked softly. Sir? No answer. She opened it and froze. Isaac was in the center of the room. Same chair. Same blanket. Same stillness. But his eyes were open, red-rimmed, focused. Get Micah back here, he said without turning. Camille hesitated. Did something happen? He finally looked at her. I think, he said, something is trying to happen. 2 hours later, Micah walked through the front door again. This time, no one questioned him. He found Isaac exactly where he'd left him. In the chair. Waiting. Micah didn't smile. Didn't ask questions. Just nodded once. I thought you might not call me back. I didn't sleep, Isaac said. Micah stepped closer. You tried again, didn't you? Isaac nodded. Nothing. Micah didn't look disappointed. That's because you were still listening with your mind. Isaac frowned. What does that mean? Micah leaned in. It means you tried to believe with logic. But belief doesn't live there. He tapped Isaac's chest, gently. It lives here. Isaac looked down. Then up. This is insane. Maybe, Micah said. But so is hope. Isaac looked at him for a long time. Then nodded. Let's try again. Get Dr. Pedersen on the line, Isaac said. Camille paused at the doorway. Sir? I want him here. Full diagnostics. Full explanation. She didn't ask why. Just nodded and left. Micah stood by the window, hands in the front pocket of his hoodie, watching the rain tap against the glass. You're bringing a doctor? He asked without looking. Isaac nodded. If something's happening, I want answers. Micah turned. Or you want proof it's not real. Isaac glanced at him. I want clarity. You want control. Neither of them said anything after that. By noon, Dr. Lars Pedersen arrived. 61. Norwegian. Precise. His briefcase was black. His coat was white. His tone was always neutral. He greeted Isaac with a firm nod, then looked over at Micah. And this is? My guest, Isaac said. You're not here for him. Understood. They moved to the West Diagnostic Suite, a private clinic inside the mansion. Machines Isaac had imported from Zurich and Seoul waited in silence. Dr. Pedersen unpacked wires, electrodes, and scanners. I'm requesting a full lower body sensory panel, Isaac said, plus another MRI. That will take hours. Then start. Micah stayed in the corner, quiet, watching. 30 minutes in, the tests were underway. Dr. Pedersen stuck tiny adhesive nodes to Isaac's legs, ankles, feet. A monitor tracked every signal. The screen remained flat. No voluntary or involuntary response, the doctor noted. Same as last year. Isaac stared at the monitor. Nothing. Not even a flicker. Micah stepped forward. You're looking in the wrong place. Pedersen raised an eyebrow. Excuse me? You're looking for electricity, Micah said. You should be looking for memory. Pedersen blinked. Is this some kind of spiritual metaphor? No, Micah said. It's biology. Just not the kind you were taught. The doctor turned to Isaac. You want me to continue? Yes. Micah didn't speak again. 2 hours later, they moved to the MRI room. Isaac was transferred from the chair to the platform with the help of 2 assistants. The machine whirred to life, loud and clinical. Pedersen sat behind the glass, watching the imaging build on his screen. 30 minutes passed. Then 40. Then the door opened. The doctor walked in with a tablet in hand. Isaac sat upright in his chair, fully dressed again. "Well, no change," Pedersen said. "No signal integrity across the injury site. Spinal cord remains fully severed." He handed Isaac the scan. "Same as every year. Dark gap. Scar tissue. No hope." Micah glanced at the image once, then looked away. Pedersen turned to him. "You brought this child here for what purpose?" Isaac didn't answer immediately. Micah spoke first. To remind him that science doesn't always have the last word. Pedersen adjusted his glasses. "I am a scientist, young man. I do not deal in wishful thinking." Micah tilted his head. "Then maybe that's why you haven't seen what's already there." Isaac leaned forward. "Let me ask you something, doctor. What if the best are wrong?" Pedersen frowned. "Based on what?" "Based on the fact that something happened," Isaac said. "Yesterday. I felt something. A spasm, perhaps. No, it wasn't random. It was direct." Pedersen hesitated. "Placebo. Emotional suggestion. Even phantom sensations are common in long-term paralysis." Micah stepped forward. "But what if it wasn't phantom?" Pedersen looked at Isaac. "You've spent years trusting the finest specialists in the world. Are you ready to undo all of that because a child told you he sees something?" Isaac didn't speak. Micah did. "What's harder to accept?" he asked. "That everyone missed something, or that a child might be right?" The doctor's expression hardened. "I won't entertain mysticism." Micah looked at Isaac. "Neither will your legs. They don't care about mysticism. They care about memory, connection, permission." Isaac held up the scan again, stared at it, then dropped it on the floor. "Enough," he said. Pedersen turned. "Mr. Thornton, you've done your job. I've seen the data. You're dismissed." The doctor straightened. "You're making a mistake." "No," Isaac said, eyes locked on Micah now. "I'm finally making a choice." After Pedersen left, Camille entered the room slowly. "Should I clear your schedule?" Isaac nodded. 3 days. Micah raised his eyebrows. 3. Isaac's voice was firm. "That's how long you've got." Micah nodded once. "That's all I need." As Camille left, the rain picked up outside. Micah walked to the window again. He didn't speak. Isaac did. "You just challenged one of the top neurologists on Earth." Micah didn't turn around. "I didn't challenge him." Isaac's voice was dry. "No. I challenged the fear behind him." Isaac stared at him for a long time. Then wheeled forward. "Then let's see what fear does when it has no more science left to hide behind." Micah turned and nodded. Micah sat cross-legged on the floor of the conservatory. Isaac sat in his chair, positioned right across from him, hands resting on the armrests. The sun filtered through the glass ceiling, casting soft light on the stone tiles between them. It had been quiet for several minutes. No machines. No monitors. Just them. "You still think this is going to work?" Isaac asked. Micah nodded. "It's not about thinking. It's about remembering." Isaac exhaled through his nose. "You say that like you're flipping through a photo album." "Kind of," Micah said. "Your legs aren't gone. They're waiting." Isaac's eyes narrowed. "Waiting for what?" "For you to stop treating them like strangers." Micah stood up. He walked slowly around the back of Isaac's chair, then stopped behind him and placed a hand lightly on Isaac's shoulder. "You don't have to believe everything I say," Micah said. "But you do have to try." Isaac didn't move. Micah stepped in front of him. "Let's try something new. I'm listening. I want you to speak to your body. Out loud." Isaac stared. "Again." "No. This time, not to your legs." Isaac frowned. "Then to who?" Micah pointed to Isaac's chest. "To yourself." Isaac leaned back. "Now we're getting spiritual again." Micah didn't blink. "Not spiritual. Personal." Isaac shook his head. "You don't get it. I've lived with this chair longer than I lived in my childhood home. This isn't just paralysis. It's my identity now. Then change it, Micah said. Silence. Micah stepped forward. I want you to close your eyes. Isaac hesitated. But he did. Now say, I'm listening. I'm listening. Say, I remember. I remember. Say, I forgive you. Isaac's brow furrowed. Forgive who? Yourself. Isaac opened his eyes. This is too much. Micah didn't react. Then it means you're close. Isaac rolled back slightly. What's next? Light incense? Chant to the moon? Micah smiled faintly. Just try one thing. No metaphors. No drama. Just this. He walked behind Isaac and placed both hands gently on his shoulders. I want you to imagine standing up. Not forcing it. Just remembering it. Like waking up from a nap. Isaac closed his eyes again. Now speak to your legs. Not as a patient. As a friend. There was a long pause. Then Isaac spoke. I need you. Micah nodded. Good. I'm tired of this chair, Isaac said. I'm tired of being carried. Of pretending I don't care. Tell them that. I want to stand, he said louder. I want to remember. Micah moved to Isaac's side. Then try. Isaac placed both hands on the armrests. He breathed in. And pushed. His arms locked at the elbows. Shoulders tensed. His legs didn't move. But then, the left one twitched. Then the right. Stronger than before. Isaac's breath caught. Did you see that? I saw it. Isaac stared at his legs. Again. Don't force it, Micah said. Feel it. Isaac closed his eyes again. This time he didn't speak. He just breathed. And pushed. The knees quivered. Both feet flexed slightly. Isaac nearly shouted. I felt that. I know, Micah said. It's starting. Camille entered the room just then. She stopped dead in her tracks. Sir, what's going on? Isaac looked up. Get James. Security James? Yes. I want everyone out of the house by noon. Every staff member. Every appointment. Clear the schedule. Camille looked confused. All of them? All of them. Micah stepped back. Isaac turned toward him. I want to be alone tomorrow. Just me and you. No interruptions. Micah nodded. Understood. As Camille left, Isaac turned back to Micah. You said it was about permission, he said. Micah met his gaze. And now you're giving it. Isaac looked down at his legs. They moved. Yes. But I didn't make them move. No. I just remembered. Yes. Micah picked up his backpack from the floor. I'll come back tomorrow. You think I'll be ready? Micah smiled for the first time. I think you already are. The mansion was quiet. Too quiet. Every door had been locked. Every staff member sent away. Camille had protested, but Isaac didn't budge. No calls. No assistance. No meals. Nothing. Just him. And the boy. Micah arrived at exactly noon. No backpack this time. Just his hands in his hoodie pocket and that same calm, deliberate walk down the marble hallway. Isaac met him in the central chamber, a circular room with high ceilings, skylight dome, and nothing but a single rug in the center. The wheelchair sat at the edge. Micah stood just inside the doorway. This is it? He asked. Isaac nodded. This is it. Micah stepped forward. No distractions. No excuses, Isaac replied. They faced each other across the empty room. The light from above painted soft shadows across the floor. Micah's voice was steady. Are you ready? Isaac inhaled. I'm not sure what that means anymore. It means, do you trust yourself enough to try again? Isaac rolled forward to the edge of the rug. Stopped. Let's find out. Micah knelt beside the wheelchair. Same as before, he said. Hands on the armrests. Feet flat. Isaac did as instructed. Micah placed a hand on his chest. Don't just push, he said. Remember. Isaac closed his eyes. Micah whispered, say it. Isaac whispered back, I'm here. Micah's hand moved lower, over Isaac's abdomen. Say it again. I'm here. Micah nodded. Now go. Isaac pushed. Slow. Measured. At first, nothing. Tension in his thighs. A spark in the small of his back. It jolted like static. Not painful, just alive. Isaac's eyes flew open. That was new. Yes, Micah said. Keep going. He did. More pressure. And then his knees bent. Quivered. He wasn't standing yet. But something had shifted. Something real. I can feel the spine, Isaac gasped. Like it's waking up. Micah nodded. It is. Isaac leaned harder. This time, his hips lifted slightly. His torso wobbled. His hands gripped tighter on the armrests. He didn't rise. But he didn't fall either. Micah placed both hands on Isaac's shoulders, steadying him. Don't just use muscle. Use memory. I'm trying. No, Micah said. You're forcing. Isaac paused. Took a breath. Then another. He leaned forward not to lift, just to feel. And there it was. A pull. Low in the back. Deep in the core. He moved again. And this time, his hips lifted fully. His legs shook beneath him. But they held. Isaac rose. Slow. Wobbly. Inches only. But up. Off the chair. Off the rug. Micah backed away, hands off now. You're doing it. Isaac's face twisted. Not in pain, but in awe. Standing. Micah nodded. For the first time in 5 years. Isaac looked down at his legs. They were trembling. Sweating. Burning. But they were holding him. No braces. No harness. No chair. No chair, Micah echoed. Isaac stood for 8 seconds. Then 9. Then 10. And then his knees gave out. He felt hard. Micah caught him before he hit the floor. Isaac sat back into the chair, chest heaving. But his eyes, they were on fire. I stood, he said. I actually stood. Micah smiled. You did. Isaac laughed. A real one. Then he looked up. You saw it. It wasn't a trick. Micah nodded. No trick. I need to. Isaac stopped himself. I need to do it again. You will, Micah said. Tomorrow. Isaac didn't argue. He sat back, soaked in sweat. But something else clung to him too. Something different. Victory. As Micah walked to the door, Isaac called out. Wait. Micah turned. Isaac looked him dead in the eye. You were right. Micah tilted his head. About what? Isaac's voice lowered. The body doesn't forget. Micah gave a single nod. Then slipped out the door. And for the first time in years, Isaac didn't dread tomorrow. He welcomed it. The checkbook sat unopened on Isaac's desk. Heavy. Black leather. Engraved with gold. He hadn't touched it in over a year. But that morning, he opened it. And wrote one word across the top line. Pay to the order of Micah. He paused on the next line. The amount. Then closed the book again. Didn't sign it. Not yet. Micah arrived just after sunrise. No guard stopped him. No one needed to. He walked into the conservatory where Isaac was already waiting, hands on his lap, back straight. He looked different. Not younger. Not softer. Just lighter. You came early, Micah said. Isaac nodded. Couldn't wait. Micah walked to the edge of the rug. Are you ready? Isaac's hands tightened on the wheels of his chair. I stood yesterday. Yes. Today I walk. Micah didn't react. He just said, then let's begin. Isaac positioned his feet flat. Hands on the arms of the chair. He didn't speak this time. No hesitation. No inner monologue. Just breath. And movement. He leaned forward. The tension returned. Sharper now, more responsive. His legs activated. Thighs burning. Knees locking. And then he rose. This time, faster. More stable. Micah stood back, arms at his side, watching. You're ready. Isaac took one step forward. Just one. But his foot landed. Balanced. A second step. Then a third. His breathing got heavier, but his eyes never left the floor in front of him. 5 steps later, he stopped. Chest rising. Face damp. Walking. Micah stepped forward. You're remembering. They stood in silence. Micah looked down at Isaac's legs. How do they feel? Like mine again, Isaac said. Not decorations. Not reminders. Mine. He sat back in the chair, more from exhaustion than collapse. Then rolled to the desk. Opened the checkbook. Slid it toward Micah. 10 million, Isaac said. Like I promised. Micah didn't move. Take it, Isaac said. Micah shook his head. I don't want your money. You earned it. I didn't come for it. Isaac leaned forward. Then what did you come for? Micah looked him in the eye. To remind you that healing starts when you stop measuring it in dollars. Isaac didn't answer. Just stared. Then finally whispered, You really don't want it? Micah smiled. You needed the healing more than I need the money. Isaac sat back. Eyes burning. He wasn't used to being told no. Especially not like this. Especially not by a child. He opened a drawer. Pulled out a gold pen. Then reached for the check. Signed it anyway. Folded it once. Placed it in an envelope. And slid it into Micah's hoodie pocket. I'm giving it anyway, he said. Not as a transaction. As a thank you. Micah said nothing. But didn't remove the envelope. The silence that followed wasn't awkward. It was full. Settled. Isaac broke it. I don't understand how you did it. Micah tilted his head. I didn't do anything to your body. Then what happened? I helped you listen. To what? Micah pointed to Isaac's chest. To yourself. Isaac looked down at his legs. Then back up. I'll never see the world the same again. Good, Micah said. That was the point. Micah turned toward the door. Isaac called out, Wait. Micah turned. Will I see you again? Micah's smile was faint. You don't need to. Isaac frowned. But what if? You already walked, Micah said. What else do you need? Isaac thought for a moment. Then nodded. You're right. Micah walked out the door. Didn't look back. Isaac sat in silence again. But this time, it didn't feel empty. He looked down at his legs, scarred, atrophied, tired, and awake. Then he stood. By himself. And for the first time in years, he cried. 1 tear. Maybe 2. Not for what he lost. But for what he found again. 3 days after Micah left, the staff returned. Camille stepped into the mansion first, expecting the same cold routine. No eye contact, no questions, just orders. But something was different. The air was lighter. The silence less heavy. She found Isaac in the garden. Standing. Leaning on a cane, but standing. Looking out at the fountain. He didn't hear her approach. Sir? He turned slowly. And smiled. Not that tight, smug grin she had known for years. But a real smile. Open. Unarmored. I can walk now, he said. Camille stared. Sir, are you serious? Isaac took one careful step forward. 5 years. Gone. Tears welled in her eyes. How? He tapped the cane against the stone. Micah. By the end of the week, word had spread. The billionaire who hadn't walked in half a decade was back on his feet. Reporters camped at the gates. Investors called nonstop. Emails poured in from universities, hospitals, and think tanks. Everyone wanted the secret. Isaac ignored them all. Instead, he made a list. Not of people to contact, but of people to find. The first was Jameson. A janitor Isaac had fired 2 years ago for whistling too loudly near the dining wing. Isaac called him directly. Mr. Jameson, he said. Do you remember me? A pause on the other end. Hard to forget. I want you to come back, Isaac said. With triple pay and health coverage. Another pause. Why? Because I was wrong. Silence. Then a soft, surprised, I'll think about it. The second was his own brother, Daniel. The man he'd humiliated in front of the boardroom and fired with a single sentence. It took 3 calls before Daniel answered. Why now? Daniel asked, flat. I stood, Isaac said. You stood. I'm walking again. And that suddenly made you human? Isaac didn't flinch. No. A boy did. Daniel chuckled bitterly. Must be some boy. He was. Silence. Then Daniel's voice softened. I'll have coffee with you. That's all I'm ready for. That's all I need, Isaac said. In the weeks that followed, Isaac reinstated 7 former employees. He launched a wellness fund for staff, installed a private therapist in the building, introduced a daily check-in meeting where any employee could speak, no matter their title. He walked into the cafeteria for the first time in years. A hush fell over the room. Isaac looked around, then raised his voice. I owe many of you an apology, and I'm here to start repaying it. He sat down at a table next to the dishwashers and ate lunch with them. Camille pulled him aside later. You're going to scare the board. Good, Isaac said. Let them feel what it's like. To what? To not be in control. That night, Isaac opened a new file on his laptop. He named it Micah Foundation. The mission: to provide support for children with unconventional gifts and for patients who had been told there was no hope. He called Camille in. I want to dedicate a portion of my estate to this. Half, actually. She blinked. Half. Maybe more. She stared at him. You're really not the same man. No, Isaac said. That man died in a chair. 1 week later, he visited the Children's Rehab Center in Portland. A nurse guided him to a small room with bright curtains and alphabet posters. Inside sat a girl in a wheelchair. 8 years old. Thin arms. Quiet eyes. Her name was Lila. Her parents stood in the corner, worn and exhausted. Isaac knelt beside her chair. Lila, he said gently, I was like you. For 5 years. I thought I'd never walk again. She didn't speak. Just looked at him. I met someone who reminded me that healing starts here. He tapped her heart, before it gets to here. He tapped her leg. Her eyes widened slightly. He smiled. And I think you're already stronger than I was. Lila whispered, Did it hurt? Yes, he said. But not like you think. He held out his hand. Can I visit again? She nodded. Just once. But it was enough. That night, Isaac sat in the garden. Same spot where Micah had first watched the fountain. He looked up at the stars. Thank you, he whispered. To no one. To someone. To the boy who taught him that the body forgets, but the heart remembers. 6 months later. Manhattan Children's Hospital. Room 807. A boy named Elias hadn't spoken in 2 years. Trauma, the doctors said. Emotional shutdown. His parents had tried everything. Therapy. Neurology. Medication. They were told to give up. Until someone mentioned a man. A man who had once been paralyzed. And walked again. Isaac Thornton stood at the door of room 807. No cane. No assistant. Just him. The father opened the door cautiously. Mr. Thornton? Isaac nodded. May I? The man stepped aside. We didn't think you'd come. I didn't think I'd be able to, Isaac said. The boy sat on the bed, back against the wall, toy robot in his lap. His eyes were distant. Isaac walked in slowly, then sat down in the plastic chair beside the bed. Hey Elias, he said quietly. My name's Isaac. Can I tell you a secret? No answer. But no rejection either. Isaac leaned forward. Once, I couldn't walk. Everyone said I'd never walk again. And I believed them. Elias glanced sideways. Barely. But it was enough. Isaac continued. Then a boy, not much older than you, showed up. Said he could help me. Elias turned his head slightly. He didn't use medicine. He didn't even touch me. He just asked me to remember what it felt like before I was hurt. Silence. Isaac placed a hand gently on the edge of the bed. You don't have to speak. Not yet. But if you do, even just a whisper, I'll hear you. Just like Micah heard me. Elias looked up. Whispered one word. Micah. Isaac's eyes welled. Yes. Back at the mansion, Isaac added a new name to the foundation wall. Elias Harper. He stood alone in the hallway, running his fingers over the engraved letters. Then he walked outside. No one followed. He didn't need anyone to. The garden looked the same, but felt different. Every step he took was a reminder. Of failure. Of resistance. Of surrender. Of healing. Near the stone fountain he stopped. Closed his eyes. Spoke softly. I never saw you again, Micah. The wind moved through the trees. I don't know where you went. Leaves rustled gently. But you were never mine to keep, were you? A bird landed on the fountain edge. But, still, I asked you once what you wanted from me. You never answered. He opened his eyes. But I know now. The Micah Foundation opened 4 new centers that year. 1 in Atlanta, 1 in Nairobi, 1 in Rio, and 1 in Camden, New Jersey, Micah's hometown. Each one carried the same mission: to believe in those the world gave up on, to remember what was never truly lost. Isaac returned to public life, not as a CEO, but as a mentor. He met with families, sat in recovery rooms, spoke quietly, never loudly. He never used the word miracle. He used possibility. And people listened, because now he walked. Now he believed. One morning, Camille found a letter on her desk. It was written on thick paper, folded clean. She opened it. Camille, if I ever forget what matters again, remind me of the boy who never needed proof, and the man who finally stopped asking for it. In his study, Isaac kept one item above all others. Not the MRI scans. Not the awards. Not even the check he'd written and never delivered. It was a photograph, taken on the mansion's front steps. A tall man standing beside a small boy in a hoodie. No names. No date. Just the moment. And sometimes, late at night, Isaac would walk out into the quiet, barefoot on the cold stone floors. He'd look up at the stars and whisper, just once, I remember. Because the greatest miracle he ever received was not that he walked again. It was that he believed again. If this story moved you, don't forget to subscribe for more powerful tales about second chances, quiet miracles, and the people the world forgets, but shouldn't. Tell us in the comments, what part of this story stayed with you the most? And remember, sometimes the greatest healing starts not in hospitals, but in the heart.